Aloha! Here's a quick clip on Moodling with GradeBooks with the focus on transferring our grades from Moodle to the PowerTeacher Gradebook. This can save us a considerable amount of time. Instead of entering them by hand, basically it's a two-step process. You transfer them out of Moodle, you import them back into the Gradebook for PowerSchool. So let's first start with our Moodle course, the first step. So I'm going to open up the course. From our course page, not in that specific assignment, but in that whole entire course page, I go to my course settings. From my course settings, which I've docked, I come down to my grades. From my grades, it's a typical gradebook report. It lists the students on one side, the assignments and the scores on the right-hand side, and a grid. But we want to export them, so I go to my options, and you can see I have various options that I can do with my gradebook. So I can see down here that I have an export feature. I usually like to do plain text files. So when I go to plain text files, we can export those plain texts. First thing, let's look at the options. You do not have to change any of these options. The only time you may change something is if you grade by letter grades or percentages, but most of us go by points, so let's keep it real. Another thing you notice that Moodle will export all the assignments, so I usually go down to the bottom and instead of unclicking each one and say I don't want none of them, then I go through and find the one I want to export. So you see gradebook organization is important in Moodle with names, so I'm going to take my first assignment and I'm going to submit. What happens now, I get that preview that you see in one of the options, and you always have to go through a preview. I'm not going to scroll down to look at some of the results to see what's going to happen. But you can see that I'm getting the names, ID number, institution, and I'm getting the assignment. So I'm going to download. I usually save the file to my desktop, always with the same name, so instead of building up a bunch of files with the name. So I click OK. I then go to my desktop and I save it. You can save wherever you want. But I like to keep the name the same because then when I do this, I just replace it. So I don't have a bunch of different files. So you see, that is how simple it is to transfer the grades out of Moodle. So that's the first step. So let's go into the second step, importing those grades into the Gradebook of PowerSchool. So now let's open up our Gradebook. In our Gradebook, you gotta make sure you're in the correct classes. So I'm gonna go into my class. I'm gonna add an assignment. Not a very original name, but I'm gonna say transfer grade example. Just pick a category. I know it was points. I know points possible. I can change my date, any other things I may need. So I'm going to save that assignment. Close that up. So you see I have my assignment here ready to go to put my scores in. Now, since I got two classes, I'm actually going to right click on that. Copy that assignment. Go to my next step. And I'm going to put that in my English. So you see, you don't have to duplicate that process either. So now, if I right-click on my assignment, I want to put the scores in, you see I have this import scores. Simple as that. I go to my desktop, find the grades I want to transfer, open it up. Now you see I have two different settings. I usually go to the advanced setting because it tells me a little bit more information. It tells me I could not validate students' names, unable. Well, they say surname, we say last name. So let's uncheck that. Guess what? I can now import 23, and you see I have 23 students here. I don't need my first row either, so I unclick that and I say import. My scores are there. Go to my second class. Oh yes, I'm going to save those changes. Sorry. I'm going to right click, import scores, find that, open. You can see sometimes I have to put them back in to validate the first row so it identifies all your headings. And now when I look through it, I have a validation. I can now import. My scores are in for my second set of students. I hit save. And that is how simple it is to transfer your grades from Moodle into your PowerTeacher Gradebook, all in less than 5 minutes.